Welcome back. I thank you for staying with us. It's still VOP. This morning on VOP TV, we're talking insecurity again in Nigeria. The caretaker chairman of Okom local government area, Victor Ilza, confirmed that armed bandits imposed a monthly tax of 20 million naira on residents of Logo, Katsina Ala, and Okom council areas. The demand that all households in the region be required to pay the levy. The bandit leader, known as Full Fire, allegedly collaborated with herdsmen in attacking the affected community. Loza stated that people are living in fear as the bandits have been terrorizing the area for the past 5 years. However, the government finds security operatives and also trying their best to know if they can put an end to these activities in this area. As that was actually going on, we learned that the governor of Benue State, we're talking about High Sant, imposed sanction on the people, saying no gathering beyond 10 p.m. Be it wake, be it any other ceremony, we shouldn't do that in that state because of the insecurity happening or bedeviling Benue State. But some factors or some people have come up to say no, that particular law, executive order being given by High Sant, it's more like that the government is trying to take away their fundamental human right, that actually should not be looked into. But the courts have decided to look into that case July the 2nd. We have in the studio with us this morning to help make sense of this 20 million naira levy or tax now imposed on the people of Benue State by bandits. We have the chartered accountant, chartered tax professional, chartered transport administrator, who is in this studio today in the capacity of a public affairs commentator, Sheson Okoade. And also we have Dr. Ganiu Oluwashola, the managing partner, KJB Professional Service. He's also has his own badge to be FCTI. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Fina. I looked at all
the chartered.
See, when you're big, you can't just let it go.
Are they talking about me or someone else?
I was looking behind the screen to see this, but glad to be here this Thursday morning, and you're all looking. What's the new word we're using?
Steez. Yeah, Steez.
Oh, yeah. And to all of you, it's glad to be here this morning.
Right now, the question to both
But we
of
also
you,
have Dr. Ganiu. Yes.
He said, thank you for having me.
Dr. Ganiu.
And my voice must be very small beside the chartered man.
All right, welcome, gentlemen, to the studio. Go ahead.
now bandits are beginning to place levy, taxes on people, to the point that the caretaker committee chairman now come up to affirm that people are being taxed 20 million naira for them to be able to live or to stay in their own community now, to move around freely. And if this money is not being paid, someone somewhere have made it the point of duty to keep on attacking the residents in that area. What do you make of this? Nigerians now.
Maybe I allow Mr.
Well, I don't think it's new. It's not a first. It has happened in Zamfara.
But this time around that they're making it this way, that if you don't pay this tax, they'll keep on affecting, keep on bombarding them.
It's a normal, what I would call
It's been
the
like this,
normal
actually.
norm.
Okay, so what does this really depicts when it comes to the state of security in Nigeria?
Okay, you see, I would say that it is an assault, and it's also a disheartening thing. You see, if it's happening in other states, you will understand. But this is the state of our former president, the military general, the Buhari himself. Which body language?
In Benue.
So now it's in Benue
This is
State.
Benue.
No, Castina Hala.
Okay.
Okay. You could see now.
That's in Benue.
Yeah. Okay. That in that area of Benue, and you see so sorry for that. You see what happened over there is that it's totally, it's a very very painful situation, because you see why they are attacking Benue. Benue is not too big, and that is the food basket of Nigeria.
I was
right?
coming to that.
That is the food basket of Nigeria. And if it's just like somebody attacking your food bank, it's more or less that it's taking your armory, right? Okay. So if there's a war, if there's a place that should declare the state of emergency, it should be Benue.
Okay.
Look at it.
Yes.
Because when you discover now that the food source of Nigeria is being affected, farmers could not go to the farm. And in as much they cannot go to the farm, and most of them are at the IDP camps. And in the IDP camps, they can't do anything. And it's having a ripple effect on our economy. The inflation we say that is rising is not just on the financial side, it's a food inflation that is rising.
Oh, yes. Now, interesting that you brought the food into it, because in this community now, the Ukum community, they've taxed each household for them to be able to raise 20 million as demanded by the bandits. Each household has been given 50 million to be paid. That's the reality now. 50 million for each household. Now, when some of them were interviewed by reporters, they said, look, they are having to sell their farm produce in a hurry so they can get the 50 million to contribute and then give the bandits. We also have a situation where some of them that do not have farm produce to sell, and this is a largely agrarian community. Some of them that do not have farm produce to sell are calling relations outside the state to please send money. Now, my significant other bought yam yesterday, two tubers. You know, she said, oh, it was big, Sha. 2 tubers of yam for 11,000 naira.
That's cheap.
That's cheap.
I bought
I
one
felt like crying.
7,500.
I was going there. I bought one for 7,500.
500. I
Now,
bought
this is happening to the food basket of the nation. What should government do? Well, you just said if there's to be a state of emergency being declared, it should be in Benue State. But we understand from reports that the governor, Hyacinth Alia, is trying, but this seems to be above his ability now. That's what it looks like. What do you think government and the governor really should do? Because the governor is the chief security officer, isn't he?
You see, it's always a conflicting thing when we get to issues like this, because
Also,
it's the chief security officer that do not have control over the security agency of that state. If there is any instruction to be carried out by the law enforcement agencies, they take instruction directly from Abuja. And I think that this is the major reason why we've been advocating that we need to go the route of state policing, that it will be able to take decision and take responsibility for whatever decision that is taken in that area. It's you see, when Fina was reading that they now pay taxes, you see, I won't regard that in our profession as taxes, because it's not to the government, it's to an individual. Tax is your obligation that is compulsory.
Seems to be bigger than the government.
It's not bigger than the government. It's just the problem we are faced with of not having consequences for wrongdoing. This thing started small. You know, when banditry started, we were taking it with kids' glove, as in, no, it won't go anywhere. It's just like a child at home that started picking pencil from school. You are not collecting. You are not cautioning the person. He started picking meat from the pot. You are not cautioning. One day, he will take your jewelries and go and sell. You say it's still growing. He will come and sell the whole house, and then you understand where it's going. That's where we are today. Not only in Benue, every area where we've had issue of this insecurity, I keep blaming the government. And why will I blame the government? It's on the fact that how much have we done in the area of state policing to empower the governor, who you refer to as the chief security officer. When you call somebody the chief security officer and do not have 100% control on the people, we are all saying that they are going to politicize it, use it against other people, but we are actually affecting innocent people. That's the perspective I'm coming, because if this man, like you're saying, that he has he's trying, he's really trying, but his trial cannot go beyond the stream, because he cannot go ahead and give the CP instruction without having direct approval from the center.
Okay, before you proceed, let me just correct. I think Fina just drew my attention to the fact that I said 50 million. Well, it's 20 million that the community has been taxed to pay,
Okay.
and each household is now levied 50,000.
Yeah, 50,000
naira.
naira.
Each household to gather the 20 million. Just had to clarify that.
All right. Now, we talked about how the government or the governor of Benue State is trying, Hyacinth is trying to make sure he curb the issue of insecurity. He imposed he wrote down executive order saying that no other or nobody is allowed to have any gathering
Some
of
sort
such.
of curfew.
Yes, sort of
Curfew,
curfew.
yeah.
10 o'clock p.m. is the time for you to go into your house and don't come out again. But we have a human rights crusader and the person of Mr. Akpabio Ogori dragging him to court, saying that he is infringing on the human right of the citizens of that state. What do you make of that?
Okay. When you look at it, you see everybody can challenge a status quo. But the question is that who has the responsibility of the state?
Right.
Who have the responsibility to protect? That human right activist is 1 out of 10,000. But the government owns the people the responsibility. But for me, at this state, I don't think state police, because even in that environment, the police are powerless. They can't do anything. Do you know what they call the name of the guy? Full Fire. You look at Full Fire, the guy is a no-nonsense guy. You understand? And it's somebody that is he's seen himself that you can't be tamed. You see, what thing I should, there's this school of thought, not school of thought, there's what we call salami tactics. Salami tactics says that you start something at the early stage, right? And so once you allow it, you scale through and nobody say anything, you increase the momentum. Nobody's until it becomes a wildfire that you can knock up. And also, a professor of politics also says that the way to curb impunity is not to allow it at all. You see, when you see even these bandits and these people in Malaysia, they are seeing what is happening outside the world, and they see Nigeria like a safe harbor where they can go with impunity and nothing will happen. And do not forget that if these things are not curbed at once, and I've forgotten the name of the president, he just resumed office for less than a year. They have been under a very terrible bandit attack, and he has curbed them. And once I remember that he is in a country, he has curbed them.
Salvador?
I guess so. And the guy is doing very well. You see, until we have a political will, you see, if you don't curb them in Benue, they will move to another state.
How can it be curbed now that some indigenes are beginning to see the government's way of trying to stop it to be infringing of their right? Even the courts have scheduled to listen or fair into this case
You see,
to be on the July 8th.
anybody can talk right. That's why I said that the responsibility lay on his shoulder, right? You see, the reason, okay, even in my line of business, I owe clients confidentiality principle, right? But however, the law also says that if that confidence and those confidential documents, if it is going to affect the interest of the public, I need to disclose it to the court. So I remove the veil of incorporation that wants me to have a confidential agreement with that fellow. So if those things is going to affect an average citizen, so anybody can take the government to court, can do anything, but the interest and the life, and do not forget, one of the reasons why you are in governor is to protect the life of the citizen and the welfare of the citizen.
I like the fact that you brought that up. And if our producers are ready, there is a video that we're supposed to push up on the screen. And that is a video of a mass arrival of some Fulani terrorists. And this was from BBC News Hausa. Now, this is an exodus of people armed to the teeth getting into the country. But interestingly, the Nigerian police force has also come out swiftly to debunk this video, that it is not a recent thing. It's in 2018 thereabouts. Now, this is where I'm coming. If we have this level of people armed to the teeth getting into our country, and security is still a major issue, how then can we get our economy right? Now, we spoke about food insecurity a couple of minutes ago. Now, my very direct question to you, Mr. Shisma, is right now is, what do you think can be done better to stop this level of insecurity in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. If I have opportunity to talk, I do say this. We lack consequences for wrongdoing in this country, and it's fundamental. Most of the time, those people that become whether white fire or full fire or whatever it is, started without anything. But they gain ground when they say that executing first action, no reprisal, second one, generated income, they move to the third level and become an authority you can't call. And one thing I want to say regarding to what my friend said is that nobody is bigger than the government if they have that will to attack them. That's one thing I will always say. You see, all those people that we're talking about, it might lead to them sacrificing their lives. But when you get to know, you see, people will say police are not working. Let issues get directly to someone that is very close to them. Then you see the way they swing into action to make things happen. I feel that what we are lacking here is the political will. You see, we politicize a lot of things trying to manage it. I'm sure in that community, they all knew when this guy started, but nobody was curbing that menace.
Interestingly, we hear that a few weeks back, his house was bombarded. The Nigerian military forces attacked the Full Fire's house, but he survived. He survived that attack. So that's to show that something has been done in that regard.
Of course, but that we should not relent.
But then again,
we should.
But then again, let's get some other things in perspective. Now, the community, members of that community are afraid to report the case because they are afraid of them being attacked, being targeted privately for making it a public thing. But then there's an individual from that community, name given as Yoza, or he said he has reported to the police. But we hear that the police public relations officer in Benue State, SP Catherine Anene, has said no such case has been reported to her. And we also hear that the security advisor to the governor, Joseph Ha, has said he said bandits are on the run in the state and could not have the luxury of collecting tax from the villagers. So we're having conflicting figures. Now, with these figures, do you think the government will act? Saying that the people are crying for, are saying, look, we are being taxed by bandits. And the security advisor said, oh, nothing like that is happening.
We always have that information when it comes to government and people. Most of the time, the government officials are far from reality, truth be told. The things will be happening. And that's why that thing keeps, going in a full-blown stuff. It's the people that are directly affected that will always make that noise. People, for the local government chairman to come up and say this is happening, I don't think he has an ulterior motive that he will say the people he's actually governing is the one that will actually be creating problem for them. But you see, people are the central. It's just like when you go to some people, do you know that some people don't know that there is hardship in the land? Because everything is on their table. They want to eat. When you tell them that, no, tomato is expensive, say, how? The one they made for me yesterday, in fact, is rich in those things. They tell you that fuel is expensive. I know now. My tank is filled all the time. So do you want to tell that person that there is problem in the country? The answer is no. Most of the time, these people at the center who are our leaders or who reports to the people at the center are far away from the truth. What I will continue to say is that when you have information, most of these advisors should not be swift in countering those people that are actually being faced with the problem. Because if that is not happening, people, okay, you said in a report that the man's house was attacked, maybe last month. So on what basis was his house attacked? If you are claiming that,
so isn't government trying to play denial, trying to act like
it's the politicking,
politicizing it?
They just play politics with it.
But why would you want to play politics with the lives of the people and the tummy of Nigerians? Because if anything whatever affects Benue of course, would affect the rest of Nigeria. After all, Benue is the food basket of the nation.
And that's why I will support what my colleague said, Shola, to say it's high time federal government put their, because it's like they want to actually grant the nation. If that is done, to get to your main source of food supply, that means you'll be disconnected. And you see the way it goes. Food fire or fire food, it's actually having its way there. Before you know it, it will have other people reinforce it to other strategic area in the states. So it won't be him alone. And that's why I feel that government needs to quickly prevail on the situation, attack it needful. But we will continue to say, don't allow this issue to degenerate into something you will not be able to call.
Has it not degenerated to that point from what we're seeing in Nigeria now?
At least we have this now. Other ones that will actually be happening, let's nip it that. But that's our major problem.
In Borno State, a particular insurgent group hoists their flag in a part of Borno State, declaring the place their own zone in Nigeria.
And that's what we keep saying now. It's just freedom in one area, give room to the other. So when you succeed here, it is still, do you know the way some of these guys go? They groom them and now ask you to go to the branch. So now this is now our headquarters. Full Fire has a squad. Or maybe one of the guys who is not really pleased and feel that, no, guy, you can't have it. Let's go to this area.
As it is now, the information is that Full Fire now works in connivance with Fulani headsmen.
Yeah.
That's the report. We're quoting the report now. Full Fire works with Fulani headsmen to terrorize the community. So he's getting support, which is to say, which gives the impression that his own squad might have been depleted.
Yeah.
So now he needs support. Now, this also brings to fore the issue of Fulani headsmen with guns, those with guns, roaming the country.
And the release of body
the cattle. Oh, yes. So how do you, what should we be doing? What conversation should we be having at this point? Seeing that people are still, accusing these terrorizing headers of terrorizing people's lives, as it is before the National Assembly, the ranching conversation.
You see, we not just need to take an active step. We need not to play politics at this time. This is not the best time to play politics. You see, if our current president did not make a statement, then posterity will never forgive him.
If he doesn't make a statement like
Make a statement, I'll damn the consequence and hit people. You know, when the former president was there, President Muhammad Buhari, they said because he was a Fulani, so there's this kind of allegiance. He doesn't want to offend these people. But you are here now. You are for everybody. So you need to damn the consequences and deal with this thing ASAP.
But does it look like they want to damn this consequence? Because Bayo consistently keep talking.
But the question is that, does the info... You see, I do tell people, truth be told, it is not lonely at the top. It is what they want you to hear, you will hear. You know, there was a time during the time of Buhari, what's his name, President Obasanjo, he said it's not possible for a Nigerian not to be able to feed on 3 square meals. Truth be told, honestly, because they will take you become a puppet at that place. They'll take you through the road you want to go through. They will tell you the clothes you need to wear because you are in meeting. Or if they could tell you that maybe he went back to bed around 4 a.m. this morning because it's all the night meeting and it's coming up again. So most of this info, those people, it has been tackled. And they will play the video where they've tackled it. So the thing is just now that he also needs to have another person with an unbiased mind.
Sorry, David.
I was really wondering if what you're saying now is quite realistic, because the president, when he came to town, when his convoy was going to his Bodilon building, there were Nigerians that were crying and were saying things like Ebin Power, which literally means that we're hungry. Are you saying that the president at this point does not have an idea of these Nigerians?
Okay, the people saying Ebin Power, you will see that it is the mixture of words. Some people will be hailing, some people will be saying Ebin Power, and some people will wind up his glasses for security purpose. Do you understand? I'm just being real on this table.
That you are hearing.
Okay, look at during the time he was a governor in in Lagos.
But sorry to interject. If you're saying that there's a possibility that he's not hearing the cry of Nigerians, but at least he knows that Nigerians are insulting him, because he did say that they are insulting him
On social media.
On social media.
Social media. So the question is just like, how much information does he have access to? And that's why we also said that a president should come to the level of the citizen, not only hear what people are saying, hear what the citizen, listen to news, watch news, look at what you see. For me, I say it's a jab that the president of Kenya was throwing at him, at us in Nigeria, not at him, when he says that if I'm a responsible president, I can't go and buy a jet worth, private jet worth so that I cannot be so stupid. He used some two languages, responsible, which means that if we do it in Nigeria, it shows we are not irresponsible, right? Yeah. And if you say that, oh, I'm not so foolish, which means that if you do it in Nigeria, it means that we are foolish. So these are things we should look at. He said, how can I take so huge amount of money and go and buy private jet for myself? These are things we need to, and also people surrounding him should come up or be sacrificed, because at least they are already marking 2 years in office, and their policy at any point in time does not have favorable impact on Nigeria.
Well, unfortunately, the president has said in his broadcast that his policies will consistently keep coming. So, in other words, Nigerians are faced with the music of whatever comes out of that policy. Do you still think that that same president doesn't know that Nigerians are going through things?
He knows. That's why I said that information is relative. Some people say that, oh, when you see them making news, they'll say that, oh, our policy is working. It has curbed this, it has curbed this. Investors are coming. So what about the negative impact? Remember when Wale Edu, the current finance minister, he said he saw the rotten in the system, that they will not borrow again. But what happened? They keep, you see, I sat down and I looked at, where did they even get this money to spend? Where did they get this money to spend?
That you also mentioned Wale Edu. There is a CBN Act that says the country shouldn't borrow higher than ₦1 trillion in a year. But Nigerians don't.
He even said that we will not borrow again, because the state we have now, we don't even have the capacity to finance what we have borrowed.
But he's still given the vote of confidence by the man in power.
So because when they were borrowing, then the question is that where did they see the money they are spending? Because the borrowing, this is in my field, they call it financial mismatch. You borrow before 2010, $460 million was borrowed to fix CCTV in Abuja. There's no project now, no infrastructure. Another 800 million was borrowed to subsidize fuel subsidy to be able to ameliorate. We don't have any effect, and we are borrowing trillions of dollars again. At what effect?
Let's bring you back to the table of insecurity in Nigeria.
Still insecurity.
But the CCTV should have stopped insecurity, because you know what comes into the country. You could be able to play out, and this is how we make things.
No one is being held responsible for that.
Because you can track it.
Mr. Sasamon, right now, I'm still going to ask the same question. Do you think that the president of Nigeria does not have full-hand information of what insecurity is about in Nigeria, both food insecurity and, of course, lives and property? Now, I'm going to read the statistics to you before you answer that question. In 2022, interestingly, agriculture in 2022, global agricultural reports reached a historic high of $2 trillion. Top 20 countries that had major gains of that amount, the 20th is Russia, a country at war. Now, the number 3 country that did gain more, and by figures, $119 billion, is what this country gained as exporters of agricultural produce, is Netherlands. Netherlands by landmass is 41,850 kilometers, per square meters. Now, their land, arable land that they use for agriculture, is lesser than, it's just 33,500. Lesser than Benue states that we're talking about. Are you still going to say that the president of this nation does not have full grasp of what insecurity is about in this country?
If the president do not have, then who will have the information? Because he has all the apparatus with him. The chief of staff, everybody reports to him. But I will keep saying this, which is the information they get across to the president that will tell you that's what they are acting. Even by the time you give order, they will tell you, even this discussion we are having in Benue, don't be surprised that he might have on his desk what he will read or preview as regard this to say, I'm hearing and say, sir, it's under control. If, as the head of this organization, you at your level, you gave a report to your boss, most of the time, if he has confidence, because keeping you in that place, because they have confidence in you.
And that brings me to this question. So you're of the opinion that the president actually have confidence in the service chief, and that's why he pushed them to say, yes, they are doing well, they should continue doing well.
If you ask him tomorrow, he will tell you they are performing. All the ministers are all performing.
So why are they not giving us the result we need to get, even after giving them 1.3 trillion as a budget allocated to them in this year's allocation?
They will have 1,001 reason for failure, but nobody picks them to say this that you have done is wrong. And that's where we keep going, that each time we disburse out funds, how much do we monitor some of these things? That's the problem I feel that we have in this country. When you give out so much trillions of dollars, millions, billions of dollars to carry out exercise, how much questions do we ask about how such funds are being utilized?
Oh, well, interestingly, the president and his cabinet have not, railed out the so far spent budget.
We'll look into that in a second. We'll look into that in a second. No, we have to look into that in a second topic. We have that to look at on our table this morning. A second topic.
I was saying something in Foya yesterday on a platform, right? We were talking about civil servant salary and their agitation. And I now drive back. In 2019, the law says that every 5 years you review. In 2019, when they increased that salary to 30,000 naira, that which is equivalent to $98, which is less than $100. Then dollar was around 306 naira. We were still complaining. So at that point in time, so if you want to bring it to this day, let's assume that we bring 2019 to 2024, and we are still giving them that equivalent of that 30,000. And because of dollar, and we want to say they still remain $98, we are not increasing anything. $98 is around 147,000 naira. Okay, so we are not increasing anything. We are just still giving you the value. In my field, they call it that present value of money. What is the present value of money as at in 2019, 30,000? The present value of that 30,000 is now 147,000. So which means that the dollar is still $98 per worker. So the question is just that what should we do better to affect our economy and make our economy much more good? It's not about, and I was saying that forget about these elementary economics. Yeah, you are trying to increase the interest rate and every other thing. It won't work. Because if I don't know the volume of money in circulation, how do I control it? You can't control it. So increasing interest rate, you are affecting a lot of small and medium enterprise. As we speak now, another company, multinational, is living in Shagamu, in Ogun State. And as we speak now, even one of these Chinese companies, they are suing Nigeria because they breached the treaty they have, and they are already seizing Nigerian property in Liverpool worth $70 million. So the question is that, how have we gotten there? We are the advisor. Are they actually advising the president appropriately, or they are giving him the advice? It's not yielding to it.
Well, quite an unfortunate one there. But then I was going to ask Mr. Shetan, do you think that, aside the fact that yes, there is a level of distrust from the people to the government, do you think there's any way the government can do better when it comes to insecurity, particularly on our lands, agriculturally?
Well, my suggestion is actually being taken by those who understand the law. No, I'm not a lawyer. I always say, I think it's capital punishment that will solve this problem. You get rid of anyone who is actually distorting the peace of this nation, let's reduce that person by 1. By the time you take 1, 2, 3, do your proper investigation to know these are the people causing the arrest. By the time you reduce like 10 major actors, anybody venturing into that business, think twice before going into it. But what we've seen is that the people that are actually doing the wrong thing and being celebrated. And don't forget, it's not only these bandits or these people causing insecurity. Those that are mismanaging our funds are also on their own part with the corruption, creating insecurity. So when you get hold of them, rather than actually giving consequences to this thing that they are doing, we go around and we celebrate it. And I think that is the fundamental problem we need to address. If we're able to get this man in Benue that is doing this, because we've seen people in time past that they will say they are looking for, and the next week following it, they will be giving the person turban and celebrating him. And you ask yourself, is this not the same man who was declared wanted last week? And he will be having the security protection for the ceremony he's having. So you ask yourself, where are we going? So until we are intentional to give, the consequence for those wrongdoing, and the actor understand the fact that dabbling into this, am I ready for these consequences? That's when we start seeing a different thing when it comes to insecurity.
Some quarters will be saying, at this point, what you're suggesting, maybe not this government will be able to do it, because from what we see, they are still reintegrating some Boko Haram terrorists back into society after profiling them.
It's under the law. Everything is under the law. The military act will not take those things. So when you want to do things, people have actually say, no, this is not Asia where you do capital punishment. It must go through the court of law. And we all know what the judiciary are doing. Fantastic job that they are doing. So when it goes through the court of law, the person comes out and come and meet the money that he has actually made out of doing some of those things.
Well, there's one thing government is doing, of course. There's one thing they are really eager to do, and that is to hold an emergency meeting over a supplementary budget. Let's dive into this conversation after this break.